Why, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Anime Club. I'm Nick Knack, with me is the great Lord Horn.
Hello everybody, and welcome to our new season!
Realm Shifter.
I sure do love poorly synced dubs from the early, 80s and stuff. You know, it's just wonderful.
Fun fact, this is actually from 1996.
Oh, boy.
Because I went down a rabbit hole.
Oh, boy.
And Seki.
Yeah. Season 6, y'all.
And it's been how many years?
6.
6 years.
Well, this is the 6th year.
Holy shit. That's crazy. Yeah.
That means that as of this year, we've been at this longer than a half a decade.
That's crazy. Holy shit. Just go put me in my grave already, yeah?
Just think about this. We started this in the pre-COVID years.
Yup.
I know.
Oh my.
So I think COVID was part of season 1.
Yeah, it was. The latter half.
The latter half, yes.
But those first, half of the season was not.
Yeah.
True.
Anyways, every year we have a tradition. Well, it didn't start as a tradition. In the first season, Realm...
It's just because Realm
No. In the first season, Realm just suggested something that was so genuinely terrible. But every season since, we've been doing, the weirdest or the funniest or the worst thing we can kind of find or be told about or think of. And, before this season, we haven't specifically searched stuff out, but it was just, I guess we did search out Akikan a little bit.
Yeah.
But, for the first couple, it didn't matter. Ishizoku Reviewers was on recommendation from someone. Keijo and Ore were, stuff that we just saw and we were like, hey, this would be funny. And then Akikan, we did actually look up, worst anime ever. Mm-hmm. But I can now say definitively that the anime we watched this time is generally accepted as the worst anime ever made. It's called... Well, so technically it's called Byston Wells Monogatari Garzy's Wing, or The Story of Byston Wells Garzy's Wing, colloquially known as Garzy's Wing.
Yeah.
On its own. He fell in the funniest way that he fell directly onto my arm and was just kind of stuck there. Anyway, so this is Garzy's Wing. You will be interested to note that this is actually, this series is part of 3 interconnected series set in the same universe of Byston Wells. Now, this series was made in 1996, I think, something like that. The first series set in the world of Byston Wells actually came out in 1983 to 86, and that's actually set 700 years after this show in the timeline of the world, although they don't match up. And then there's one more ONA that was made in 2006, right? But all 3, so the entire series, this is not based on a manga. This is the brainchild of the director, and the same person directed and produced it and is also the creator. And it's the man who created and directed Mobile Suit Gundam and most of the Gundam series since. This is from the creator of Gundam. This is his other brainchild.
Yeah, this isn't a no-name person that made a bad anime.
Yeah, Gundam came first. He started with Gundam, and then he created this world with the first series. And the first series that we didn't watch because it's set later and it's basically unconnected, but it's set in the same universe. That series actually was a little bit more popular and got a 49-episode anime with OVAs at the end of it. Then he proceeded, and so he's made 15 of the Gundam series, right? Starting with the original Mobile Suit Gundam, going all the way through to the modern ones. But he also made this.
This whatever the fuck.
And remember, he's director and producer and creator. He's also director and creator of the Gundam series. So from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows.
That is one boomer bust directing career. Right?
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now. It's something Yoshiyuki or something. Tomio.
Something like that.
Something like that. But anyways, this man's really famous. And not only is Gundam his brainchild, the first anime he worked on was Astro Boy.
This is not a no-name guy.
Yeah. He's very, very famous. Okay, Yeah, his name is Yoshiyuki Tomino. I was almost perfectly right. Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. But yeah. Wow. Talk about.
Also, keep in mind, this anime was produced by JC Staff.
This sounds more like the, hey, do this for us, and we'll do this for you.
Such a dumpster fire, the fire department came.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, like, the irony of this series is that, like, by all rights, by the animation studio, the creator, the director, this should have been great.
And yet it was just an absolute trash heap.
The worst. Also, keep in mind, the only way that you can find this easily, right, is on YouTube, and you can watch it in 2 formats on YouTube. As 3 separate OVA episodes that are 30 minutes each, or the 2-hour 1999 Sci-Fi Channel all-together movie, which includes the commercial breaks for the Sci-Fi Channel.
It's kind of a time capsule. It's honestly kind of impressive.
And it's only available in the English dub.
Yep.
I looked and I could not find this in the original sub.
Let me tell you, that English dub.
That
It's-
English dub
it's
is something else.
Not good. It is objectively bad, right? And here's the thing. In terms of the animation quality, I feel like I don't really have any complaints, right? For it being from 1996, right? This is older than One Piece. Arguably, this makes this, I think, the oldest thing we've ever watched,
Yeah.
right? Because it's older than One Piece. For 1996, well, no, Yuki Kazi might have been older.
No, that was
Was that
the
2000s?
one that we watched was 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the one we watched was older. So it is the oldest thing we've ever watched. The animation's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched shows of this exact age and older, and the animation itself is technically not bad.
Yeah.
Where the problem comes into is the story, the plot, the characters, and the voice acting. And the voice acting is not the fault of the original series, obviously, because we're only seeing the dub. We literally could not access the sub. But, like, I will say, so, fun little story here. So, I waited to watch this. I procrastinated till last night.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Nick Dack about this on, was it Monday?
Something like that.
Yeah. And he was like, if you've got any gummies still in the house, this might be a good show to watch while high. And I was like, well, I don't have any unexpired gummies. And he was like, or drinking. Drinking could also be a good option. So I went to my friend's house last night and proceeded to have several fish bowls and mango daiquiris and watched this.
Oh boy.
And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if it helped, but I will say I certainly got more into the comedy spirit of it, because my friend and I were watching it, and they would just say things, and then we just parrot them back in the same tone of voice, right? So, like, they'd say something and be like, Yamato Takeru no Mikoto!
Yeah.
I have my own bit of story here as to how I went about watching this too, because I also kind of procrastinated on the anime this time around. So I'm hitting like the last week or so and I need to squeeze it in somewhere. I'm like, okay, I'm tired, I'm going to put this on double speed, that way I don't pass out in the middle and then fuck myself over this week. So I start double speed, I'm like, oh, what the fuck, this is 1.5. No, it's still too fast. 1.25. Normal speed, and I still had no idea what the fuck was going on.
And, like, here's the thing. I get the plot, I think. And we'll get into that in a second. But I think I get what's happening. It's just, and I don't know, I think this is definitely at least in part due to the dub. Because one of the things my friend and I noticed were there were occasions in the dub where they would just say things that were not sentences.
Yeah.
They would just say a collection of words that if you'd added some more words might have formed a sentence. But they didn't.
And also, it was very common in this dub for characters to speak over each other. There was no sense of the characters, like, giving each other room to speak. And then also, it didn't help that this was the era of dubbing where they didn't at least attempt to match what the characters were saying to the words that were coming out of the characters' mouths. So what they were saying did not match what it looked like they were speaking.
Also, I don't know if they were trying to do like a one-to-one translation or if they were trying to use the dub to provide context that they didn't think people had, but that like at least once every 5 minutes there was a moment where a character would be like, "You go over there. Are you going over there?
Yeah.
Did you go over there?" Where
Yeah.
somebody would say something, and then they basically just repeat the exact same thing verbatim. And I don't know if it was like the dub. I have to assume at least some of this is in fault of the dub, right? Like the dub is just not a very well done dub in our experience.
But I'm not that confident about that because the editing also is a bit fucked up here. Like you go from one scene and immediately like in the next moment you're in the next, and often it was.
Also, I'm fairly certain that in the land of Byston Wells, several years passed between the start of the story and the end of the story. But like only a couple of days passed in the real world?
Yeah.
I'm like the perception I got from it was that there was a significant amount of time that they were in the world of Byston Wells as opposed to the real world. So definitely the time was not some Narnia ass bullshit going on here. 5 minutes equals 15 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it
was woof, to say the least.
If I remember correctly, there was the swimming pool scene in the real world, and then, like, after that swimming pool scene, we then go to a bridge thing, and I think it's still the same character, so, like, something happened in between I don't freaking get.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So, nominally, this is an isekai.
Yes.
Nominally, right? Because in the
Yeah.
context, we start this story with a young man on a motorcycle, and he's talking about how he's going to go to his high school pool party reunion, right? And then he goes home, but something happens, and he's got this necklace, right, which relates to Yamato Takero no Mikoto, which I will continue to say like that every time that they come up, because I think it's fucking hilarious, right? So he's got this weird, like, 8-bell necklace, and, like, something happens, and he appears naked in the world of Byston Wells with wings, or one wing on each of his feet. Right, and they start calling him like Garzy's wing
Is
because
that Garzy's wing?
yeah, because he's like the prophesied holy warrior because he comes wielding Garzy's wing, but his body still exists in the real world, and he's conscious in both like two different people.
I know, so
it's him.
So it's like the spirit. So what I got from this, because this was like the part I pay attention specifically to the most. The spirit of the champion, who was supposed to be the one that came into the world of Byston Wells, somehow I guess their spirits got crossed and they got sent to the wrong timelines.
So the spirit ended up in the modern world, and he ended
right.
up in Byston Wells.
Yes.
That is unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what happens. And they can kind of talk through their jingling necklaces, and it's really funny because they're both idiots.
Yes.
Yep.
They're both morons.
Yeah.
Certified morons.
And
Make a gun.
And then the plot of the story in Byston Wells is just the Exodus.
Yeah.
It's just it is literally just Moses leading the slaves out of Egypt and away from the tyrannical Pharaoh. That is literally the entire story, with the Pharaoh pursuing them. It is Garzy's wing, the hero, leading the slaves of this specific tribe. The names of everything are so fucked up, I cannot remember them.
And also
leading the members of this tribe out of slavery and helping them fight as they escape from their tyrant overlords who are chasing after them. And he's been summoned by the woman who prayed and prayed that the hero would appear. It's literally the Exodus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what this is. It's Isekai Exodus. Made in 1996 anime style.
Mm-hmm.
There was a plot, but let's be honest here. It's all kind of overshadowed by just being the most technically incompetent anime I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, because just most things don't make sense, and it skips around and it jumps from place to place and time to time. Like there's the character, the dude in the golden armor, right? Mm-hmm. We don't really get introduced to him at all, but he becomes the main antagonist for episodes 2 and 3. Right? Even though we have virtually no introduction to him at all, and we don't understand why he's so obsessed with the female character.
I think it said fiance or wife or whatnot.
She was a slave, though, so she couldn't have been.
Or mistress? I don't know, it was something sexual, I think.
Well, yeah, Vorn! It's always gonna be something sexual.
My favorite part is when they suddenly gave us a lore drop on the random pixie from Shin Megami Tensei character at the very last episode that it contributed nothing to the plot.
My favorite part was, I think, in the last episode where the woman who wasn't the one who summoned him, but who liked him, was like, I'm gonna go off with the lone wolf. He's so mysterious. And then 5 minutes later, the lone wolf abandoned me. I should have known. And she said it all in the same one-note deadpan tone with no emotion. Like, fully exposited. Like, you didn't need the exposition. She literally, I'm going to go off with she says the character's name. He is a lone wolf. And then later, why did I stay with the lone wolf? He has abandoned me. It's like, I was jealous. I still feel jealous. But I know what to do. I will fight for our people.
It took all the might in me to just not go watch something else on YouTube while I was watching that.
I'm going to be honest, if this had been any longer than 3 episodes, this would have been the first series I did not finish.
Yeah.
Like, I was struggling to get through 3 episodes, and my friend and I were actively making fun of it as we watched it half drunk.
So I'm going to be honest here on my end. I just started grinding on FGO at a certain point.
I might have looked away from the TV a few times during episode 2 to play with the puppy. I watched most of episode 1 and 3. 2, probably about half. I mean, I heard it. I just wasn't watching it.
I may or may not have actually passed out while watching this.
Look, here's the thing. It's just bad.
Like, I think we all... I don't know about Vorn. Vorn might have been a good boy.
So here's a little story.
Oh, boy.
4 for 4.
No, actually, no.
Oh,
I was
mind.
watching Code Geass, the new one,
Yeah.
before this, and that is, well, shit.
Yeah.
So I ended up watching this right after.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Makes the new Code Geass look like a fucking masterpiece.
Kind of! But I was able to pay attention because I was already prepared.
I think I can speak for all of us when I say none of us are mad that we didn't give our 100% to watching Garzy's fucking wing.
No.
No. Like, here's the thing. Normally, when a show is just not good, I make the effort to be like, it's not good. It's not bad, but it's not good. No, I can't. This is bad.
Yeah.
Garzy's wing is bad.
Like, on an objective level.
Yeah, like, the animation is fine, but the animation is merely the medium it's being brought to you in. The dialogue is stilted and almost unintelligible at times. The transitions make no sense. It constantly skips between perspectives and spaces with no explanation. There's virtually no proper lore dropped on us in any understandable or categorizable way. The story itself is just confusing. And it's just bad.
It's the worst we've ever seen, I think.
On a technical level, yeah, I think so.
I fully agree with the kind of cult belief that this is the worst anime ever made. Because it is the worst anime I've ever watched. And for me to say, there are a lot of animes I've watched that I hate with a burning passion. There are animes that I think are genuinely not good, right? Genuinely bad. And this is worse than them. Because a lot of animes that I call bad, right, it's because I don't like something about them, right? Like, I don't like the plot or I don't like a character. There's nothing here for me to like because nothing is done well enough to stand on its own.
Let me say this. It reminds me, like, it gives me the same energy I get watching the Star Wars Holiday Special. Where it's like, what I'm watching is nonsensical and is just not well made in the slightest.
Yeah, but
I can't hate it.
But the Star Wars Holiday Special is, for all intents and purposes, meant to be a satirical comedy sort of thing. The Star Wars Christmas Special is not a serious entry to the franchise.
Have you ever sat down and watched that shit?
You've made me.
Did I make you watch the Harry
Yes,
Potter
you
special?
made me watch it.
I think
Why the fuck would I make you watch the Holiday Special? I don't think my worst enemies watch that.
But it's not
I
like
think you need to make me sit down and watch that at some
But
point.
it's not like a genuine entry to the franchise, right? Whereas Garzy's Wing is genuinely a part of this world's, like, existence, right? Like, the older series is much more beloved, right? Garzy's Wing is genuinely supposed to be an actual entrance to this franchise, like an actual installment telling the story of a world. And I mean, theoretically, this is, partially our fault, because this is telling a story 700 years in the past of a world that was established in another anime that was like 49 episodes long from a decade earlier, right? But in all technicality, while they are set in the same world of Beist and Wells, the stories themselves have nothing to do with one another, so we don't have to watch them in order. And apparently, the timelines between the two shows actually conflict slightly. So they could, you couldn't even get the timelines right for it to work.
It's like if Type Moon were to make a Tsukihime anime and it was just bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
This man can do better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the worst part here is, if I didn't know who was, directing and producing and creating this, right? If I didn't know that it was the person who made Mobile Suit Gundam, right? Then I'd be like, well, I don't really know their body of works. I don't really know the quality. A lot of other people, they do so much, and I'm I see one show that they do, and I can't really judge their kind of whole repertoire based on that. But I have watched multiple Gundams.
I think that's the worst part of this, is there are probably worse anime. I have a feeling X-Arm, if you remember that from season, a while back. That was just a brand new studio, new team, just not knowing what the fuck they were doing.
But this is established studio, established director.
Yeah. This is a 5-star chef. All of a sudden, you just get their worst thing. Gordon Ramsay. It's fucking raw!
It's like if we got Gordon Ramsay and he fucked up a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll today.
Yeah.
No. What happened is he just got pissed and took a shit on the plate and served you the shit.
Yeah, exactly. He did the Anchorman episode scene where it's you eat cat poop for talking about my city. Sorry.
I was and I don't want to just, I try not to just sit there and rag on a show with nothing good to say about it, right? Even in Hamefura, there was something I enjoyed, right? Granted, it was just Jeffrey, but there was something there, right? There's nothing here that I enjoyed.
I think from a modern perspective, the idea of an isekai where the person's simultaneously in both worlds is kind of nifty, but they didn't execute that at all in any way that actually creates any interest.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's now, isekai creators out there, if you want to take this concept, it could be usable, but just don't apply it in this way whatsoever.
Also, just I have no issues with the animation for the most part, except for one thing. At the very beginning of episode 1, when he is transported naked into the world of Beist and Wells, so this is a man, right? Very obviously a man. And you went so far as to show his entire body, right? I can see his pubic hair, but he's just genderless? There's no penis? You should have either covered it all or shown it all.
And this is anime original. This isn't they had to animate something from a manga that wasn't easy to animate.
Because you could have just angled him at certain moments to kind of hide everything. But no, we get full on naked man, you can see his pubic hair, and then it just stops and there's nothing there, but you're looking full frontal. I just need a little bit more commitment from you. You either need to commit to not showing a full frontal view fully naked, or you need to commit to showing a full frontal view fully naked. I'm not interested in seeing a full frontal view, but the fact that I had to see pubic hair multiple times, just, it's really the only issue I have with the animation. Because, it's 90s. It looks like other 90s anime.
Yeah.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Just put the bar of light there at this point.
Something. I mean, and the thing is, I wouldn't have even noticed, but the friend I was watching it with noticed. And, once you've noticed it, and then I didn't see it, so I was like, wait, replay that scene. And you can't unsee it once someone's pointed it out to you. And it's just odd.
Yeah. It's just an odd choice.
Yeah.
Not the creative direction I would have gone.
No, not the creative direction that I would have chosen either.
Well, I mean, honestly, do we have any other comments? I'm definitely not picking a waifu for this show. This show does not deserve it.
What waifu?
I don't,
There's
I don't,
no waifu.
Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
have a waifu.
My waifu was the commercial breaks.
See, I did not watch the sci-fi edition. I watched the individual episode edition. Actually, you know what? We didn't talk about. So I didn't in the episodes I watched. I didn't see an opening song, but there was a closing song.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of catchy.
It was reasonably catchy, but
I
honestly,
enjoyed it.
honestly though, I just after watching these episodes, I just couldn't stomach it anymore. So after I watched it the first time, I just didn't bother the other two. What?
I actually watched it all 3 times. I didn't think it was the worst song ever. I think it was catchy, and it was telling the story of the series. Like, it wasn't just a random song placed in. If you read the lyrics on screen, it was actually, telling you information. So I liked it.
Yeah, it was so crap, I decided to skip them because I assumed it was from the ditch material.
I'm just saying, it wasn't bad. Honestly, not even the worst ending song I've ever heard from an anime.
No. No. It was that was the one thing that wasn't offensive about the show. What?
Oof. Speaking of offensive, the depiction of native tribes and peoples,
Oof.
they straight up pulled like the most stereotypic native person shit for some of this. It was bad.
Oof.
I don't want to get into it. I just thought
It's not really worth it because
It's not really worth it
Yeah.
because the show is really only about as deep as it gets.
Yeah.
it's like 90s, and America didn't have its shit together about that in the 90s.
Exactly.
And this is Japan with less.
I know. I just thought I'd bring it up. We don't
No,
have
it's
to
worth it.
discuss it. I just thought I'd bring it up.
I think if we were talking about like Peter Pan or something, it would absolutely be worth talking about that.
I have no recommendations simply because I think I can state with absolute confidence that there is not a single thing that we have watched on this channel that I would not rather watch again instead of watching this, and I am including Amagami SS in that.
Oof.
That is a
that's big.
strong statement.
Yeah, considering how shit Amagami SS is.
Domestic Nakanajo, Citrus, Data Live.
Peak 10 out of 10 storytelling compared to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least you could follow what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, once you figured out this was an Exodus story, it was pretty easy to figure out what was going on. It just, you had to know that it was an Exodus story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it was deliberately Exodus from the Bible, but it is straight up, basically 1-to-1 Exodus from the Bible.
I couldn't even figure out which characters was which in terms of what their job was.
Oh, I think it was just people doing whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I will say I found the ending amusing where it's like, you've got to kill him if you want to go back to your world. He kills him and then vomits and everyone's like, wow, you're kind of a wimp. And that's where it ends on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about
that's
this
it.
show.
I'm exhausted at this show.
Yeah.
This was a hell of a start to the season.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it just makes everything else we will watch this season that much better by comparison.
Cool, I'm going to hold you to that for our next episode.
Gladly, you can go to that next episode.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of our next episode, our next show is going to come from Rando. So if y'all would give me a drum roll, please. Okay. It is Prince of Tennis. We're going to slightly break our mold here because I begged for this and I made this work with the promise that we will never have to do this again in this show. It will be 21 episodes, 16 to 36. And it is on the promise that we will never have to watch 20 episodes again. We will not even get to 20 on any other submission of this show. They will always be under. So, Prince of Tennis.
Yay.
Now, just for our audience, because some of you who may be watching, who knows who's going to watch this, but those of you who may watch this perhaps know or don't know, we did watch Prince of Tennis episodes 1 through 15 back in, I believe, early 2020, early to mid 2020, because it was after quarantine started. Because it was when we were recording virtually. So we do have an episode up on the channel. It's not very good quality. It's very old. But
this was part of season 1 or maybe season 2.
it was part of season 1. It was the last 8 episodes of season 1. And at the time, So I love this series. This is absolutely one of my favorite things ever. Keep in mind, right, that this, outside of One Piece, this is the oldest series that we have ever watched on this channel that's like an actual series.
Before
Garzy's Wing is,
Garzy's.
yeah, but it's 3 OVAs like chained together. So Prince of Tennis, 2001 to 2003, this is old, right? This is, outside of One Piece, older than anything else we watched on the channel except for Garzy's Wing.
When was Get Backers?
A little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit later. I say, knowing both. But yeah, so Prince of Tennis is a little bit older. There were some complaints at the time. Y'all did not love Prince of Tennis. You hated that transition.
Yeah, that transition
Yeah.
sound.
I think Knick Knack was like, about it. See, the thing is, when we watched it at the same time as we watched Haikyuu. And while both are sports animes, one is a shining example of modern sports anime done very well, and the other one is sports anime from 2000 that was really popular and done really well for 2000s, like early 2000s. So I think Knick Knack was kind of neutral on it. And Realm, you absolutely hated this. And I do not take your opinion into account because you stated in the episode that part of the reason you hated this was because you binged both shows one after another in the same day, nonstop. And so I feel like that was, and we were all depressed from being in quarantine.
Yes.
So I feel like that was maybe not the most fair go that you gave this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say
Did
that.
someone
I'll say
rewatch
that.
that episode recently in preparation for this discussion?
I hold those criticisms deep in my heart. You've wounded my actual soul, and I will never forget them.
Are you sure that was the Prince of Tennis opinions or the time I stabbed you with Guy Bulg?
Shut the fuck up, you murderous little bastard. Anyways, so we'll be back with more Prince of Tennis. So we'll see you next time.
Try harder, everyone.
Yeah, try harder next time. Ugh.